Los Angeles, January 15, 1947. A mother out for a morning walk with her young daughter stumbled upon a scene that would haunt Los Angeles and the world for decades to come. In a vacant lot on Norton Avenue, she saw what at first glance appeared to be a discarded mannequin lying face up in the dirt. But as she drew closer, the truth became horrifyingly clear. This was no mannequin. It was a woman, severed cleanly at the waist, posed grotesquely like some macabre art installation. Her name was Elizabeth Short, though history would remember her by another moniker, the Black Dahlia. At just 22 years old, Elizabeth had been chasing dreams of stardom in post-war Hollywood. She wore dark clothing, dyed her hair jet black, and loved gardenia as her signature flower. Those who knew her described her as beautiful but troubled, drifting from one temporary job to the next, staying with friends or acquaintances whenever she could. Life was far from glamorous, but it ended in an unimaginable nightmare. When investigators arrived at the crime scene, they were struck by the precision and brutality of the murder. Elizabeth's body had been drained of blood before being cut in half with surgical accuracy. Her mouth had been slashed ear to ear into a grotesque Glasgow smile, giving her an eternal grin. Her arms were bent backward at unnatural angles, as if frozen mid-dance, and her naked corpse bore no signs of struggle she hadn't fought back. Whoever did this had taken their time, savoring every moment of her suffering. The killer didn't stop there. They left behind cryptic messages scrawled near the body, taunting the police and daring them to solve the case. One note read, "This is the work of a madman." Another claimed responsibility for the murder and warned authorities not to look too closely or else. These chilling words only deepened the mystery surrounding Elizabeth's death. As news of the murder spread, so did public fascination. Reporters swarmed the city, dubbing Elizabeth the Black Dahlia after a film noir novel titled The Blue Dahlia. The nickname stuck, overshadowing the real person beneath the headlines. Dozens of people came forward claiming to know something about the case, some genuine, others seeking attention or fame. Over 150 suspects were questioned, including doctors, soldiers, ex-boyfriends, and even women posing as men. Yet none of the leads panned out. One theory suggested that Elizabeth's killer was someone she met during her endless nights haunting Hollywood bars and clubs. Witnesses recalled seeing her with various men in the days leading up to her disappearance, but none could provide concrete alibis. Others believed the murderer might have been a sadistic surgeon or mortician, given the meticulous nature of the dismemberment. Still, others whispered of occult rituals or satanic cults operating in secret corners of Los Angeles. But perhaps the most disturbing aspect of the case was the lack of answers. It was the eerie feeling that the killer wanted to be caught. Letters continued arriving at newspapers and police stations long after Elizabeth's death. Written in careful block letters and signed with mocking pseudonyms like the Black Dahlia Avenger. Some contained personal details about the crime scene that only the killer would know, while others included scraps of fabric soaked in blood. Each letter teased investigators, pulling them deeper into a labyrinth of clues designed to confuse rather than clarify. Years passed, and the case grew cold. Elizabeth Short faded from the front pages, reduced to a footnote in true crime lore. But for those who lived through the investigation, the memory lingered like a shadow. Friends spoke of strange phone calls received in the weeks following the murderer, distorted voice whispering, "I'm watching you." Detectives reported nightmares where Elizabeth's mutilated face loomed over them, her Glasgow smile widening until it consumed everything. And then there were the sightings. Decades later, rumors began circulating of a ghostly figure seen wandering the streets of Los Angeles. Witnesses described a pale woman in a black dress, her face obscured by shadows except for the faint curve of a sinister grin. She always vanished when approached, leaving behind the faint scent of gardenias. Was it Elizabeth's spirit, unable to rest until justice was served? Or was it the killer, still alive and reveling in their anonymity? To this day, the Black Dahlia case remains unsolved, one of America's most infamous mysteries. Every few years, new evidence surfaces, reigniting hope that the truth will finally come to light. But for many, the horror lies not in the unanswered questions, but in the certainty that whoever killed Elizabeth Short walked away free and may still be out there, watching, waiting, smiling. The life behind the legend. To truly understand the horror of Elizabeth Short's murder, one must delve into the life she led before her tragic end. Born in Boston in 1924, Elizabeth grew up in a working-class family plagued by hardship. Her father, Cleo Short, abandoned the family when Elizabeth was 6 years old, leaving her mother, Phoebe, to raise 5 daughters alone. The trauma of abandonment haunted Elizabeth throughout her life, fueling her desire to escape her circumstances and make a name for herself. Elizabeth moved to California in 1943, lured by the promise of sunshine and opportunity. She dreamed of becoming a star, but Hollywood proved less welcoming than she'd imagined. Without connections or financial support, she struggled to find steady work. Instead, she drifted between jobs as a waitress, clerk, and occasional model, relying on the kindness of strangers to get by. Along the way, she developed a reputation as a flirtatious yet vulnerable young woman, eager to please but often taken advantage of. Elizabeth's love life was equally tumultuous. She dated numerous men, many of whom were older and more experienced than she was. Some treated her kindly. Others exploited her desperation. One relationship stood out: her brief engagement to Lieutenant Matthew Gordon, a decorated Air Force pilot stationed overseas. Their romance blossomed through letters. But tragedy struck when Gordon died in a plane crash shortly before their planned wedding. Devastated, Elizabeth threw herself into the nightlife of Los Angeles, seeking solace in dance halls and cocktail lounges. Her frequent moves and transient lifestyle made her an easy target for predators. By the time of her death, Elizabeth had become a familiar face in Hollywood's underbelly, a girl on the fringes, yearning for acceptance, but perpetually overlooked. It was this very invisibility that made her murder all the more shocking. How could someone so ordinary vanish without a trace, only to reappear as a symbol of terror? The investigation that never ended. From the moment Elizabeth's body was discovered, the LAPD faced immense pressure to solve the case. Hundreds of officers were assigned to the investigation, combing through leads and interrogating potential suspects. But despite their efforts, the trail quickly went cold. The sheer volume of false confessions and wild theories overwhelmed detectives, diverting resources away from legitimate avenues of inquiry. One of the most promising leads involved Dr. George Hodel, a prominent physician with ties to the medical community. Hodel's own son, Steve, a former LAPD detective, later claimed his father was the Black Dahlia killer. According to Steve, George Hodel possessed both the surgical skill and psychological profile necessary to commit such a heinous act. He pointed to evidence uncovered during a separate investigation into Hodel's sexual misconduct, including photographs of nude women staged in poses eerily similar to Elizabeth's final resting position. Other suspects included Leslie Dillon, a bellhop with an unhealthy obsession with violence; Robert Red Manley, a married salesman who admitted to meeting Elizabeth days before her death; and Mark Hansen, a nightclub owner known for his volatile temper. None of these men were ever formally charged, however, leaving the case mired in ambiguity. What made the investigation particularly frustrating was the apparent lack of motive. Unlike other high-profile murders of the era, there was no clear reason why Elizabeth was targeted. She wasn't wealthy, famous, or connected to anyone influential. To the killer, she may have represented nothing more than an opportunity, a nameless victim whose death would send shockwaves across the nation. The legacy of fear, 75 years after Elizabeth Short's murder, the Black Dahlia case continues to captivate audiences worldwide. Books, documentaries, and films have explored every angle of the story, each offering its own interpretation of the events. Yet none have managed to definitively answer the question that haunts us all: who killed Elizabeth Short? For some, the fascination stems from the grisly details of the crime itself, the calculated mutilation, the cryptic messages, the brazenness of the killer. For others, it's the tragic portrait of a young woman whose dreams were cruelly extinguished. Elizabeth's Short story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers lurking beneath the surface of glitz and glamour, reminding us that even in paradise, darkness can take root. But perhaps the greatest source of fear lies in the unresolved nature of the case. The idea that a killer could commit such a horrific act and remain unpunished challenges our belief in justice. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about human nature, that evil exists among us, often hiding in plain sight. And so the legend of the Black Dahlia endures, casting a long shadow over Hollywood and beyond. Somewhere hidden in the annals of history, the truth waits to be uncovered. Until then, we are left with the image of a young woman forever frozen in time, her mutilated body a testament to the fragility of life and the depths of depravity. In the end, the Black Dahlia isn't just a story of murder. It's a reminder of how easily innocence can be destroyed, how quickly beauty can turn monstrous, and how deeply evil can burrow into the heart of humanity. And somewhere, hidden in plain sight, the killer smiles on,